Good morning, everyone. On behalf of IPI, I'd like to welcome you to this second day of the IPI World Congress. I think we had a fantastic opening yesterday with a really interesting town hall debate. We're very happy to be here. I'm Scott Griffin, by the way, Deputy Director of IPI, and we're very happy to be here at the EBU headquarters for the second day of the Congress. And we'd like to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to introduce Jean-Philippe de Tender, who is the Media Director of EBU, to give us some opening remarks. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. It seems that some people are still under the way. They're trying to find the EBU. So, but they're welcome to come in and to drop in. So an official welcome to all of you, members of the IPI board and members of IPI. And before we kick off officially, I would like to send a thought to Ken McQuarrie. As you have heard yesterday, for personal reasons, he could not attend this conference. He has worked very hard to make this conference possible. So I would like to ask Dave Jordan, who is standing in for him, to convey our thoughts to him and his family. In this building, which is a bit more modest than the United Nations, where we were yesterday, is although it is very small, relatively small, I think it's one of the most important newsrooms of the world. Because here in the other building, on the other side, a lot is happening. Because this is the place where we service the Eurovision News Exchange. Eurovision News Exchange is 41,000 news items edited, which is an average of 112 per day, which are distributed to all of our members. And half of them, 20,000, are items that are contributed by our members. The other half, the other 20,000, is curated through other trusted sources. We circulate around 3,500 hours of live news, which is on a daily basis, 9.5 hours of live feeds, which go to our members. And on a yearly basis, we clear roughly 15,000 UGC generated content, which are cleared and fact-checked from the offices within the EBU. And finally, the Eurovision News Exchange is managing for our members on a yearly basis as well 237 news events, many of them either breaking events or planned events across many countries in Europe and the rest of the world. That's enormous volume of news and news-related items that basically fill the screens and the program schedules of the main broadcasters of the whole of Europe, North Africa, and the Middle East. The Eurovision News Exchange is a cornerstone of the EBU, but there is much more. In the last 2 years, EBU News, which, as has been said, resides in the media department, has also been very active on many other areas related to news. We have supported the fact-checking efforts of our members with the aim to debunk fake news during elections and other key moments in democracy. We are partnering with Reporters Without Borders in the Journalist Trust Initiative in order to identify criteria that could allow parameters to distinguish quality journalism from fake news and propaganda. And we have supported traditional media in the high-level expert group of the European Commission on fake news, criticizing the lack of tools and remedies to the intoxication of the public opinion, which today is very much made possible by social media platforms and by the abuse of these platforms by some very strong interest groups. As EBU, we're also contributing to the efforts of all agencies and bodies that are fighting for the safety of journalists around the world, from UNESCO to the Human Rights Council, from the International News Safety Institute to the Council of Europe and the European Commission. EBU wants to be a very firm partner. We're also contributing with the International Press Institute and other organizations to the Council of Europe platform for the safety of journalists and journalism. And we are partners with OSCE and the Fundamental Rights Agency of the European Commission, and we are pleased to have some of them with us today to promote quality journalism and better working conditions for journalists. Also for female journalists who are becoming more and more targeted by new forms of intimidation, such as cyber harassment. in a profession that is more and more under pressure. And I was impressed yesterday during the session when I heard the testimonies of the nominees of the award, how important it is to have reliable institutions to work for. And I'm happy that the EBU and the members provide a large number of permanent jobs for journalists across Europe, and in doing so, providing the context for trusted journalism. In most of these countries, our members are the benchmark of quality journalism, ensuring this profession to operate in the highest level. We have also recently created a network of investigative journalists, and it's going to be one of the sessions later today, that is both exchanging knowledge but also collaborating on various topics in that area. And we have recently recruited here in Geneva a data journalist who is going to pilot work in that field. We also have the youth news exchange. Reaching out to younger audiences and kids is key. Providing them with trusted news sources is key. So we are happy to have the European Youth News Exchange with 20 of our members, which is producing news especially for kids. And we see that this news is not only watched by the children, but by a lot of adults as well. Adults who are not the grannies of these children, but people who don't understand the news and who need a sort of news that is much more easily digestible for them. And finally, we have also published recently this report, 50 Ways to Make It Better, which amongst our members lists some best practices of what they have been doing as very tangible actions to regain the trust of the audience and of the public. So welcome to this very special place with a real heart for news. And again, I feel privileged here in the EBU and with our members to be able to work in such an environment. And I hope that working through alliances, that the EBU and its members can be considered a best practice as well, where all countries and all nations endeavor to be able to practice the same standards of journalism, both at national and international level. We have the tech giants as our common competitors, whilst we also see a lack of adequate protection from the current legislation. So we need to join forces, and an initiative as this one from the IPI is important to secure for the future the benefits of public service journalism and independent quality journalism and all that it brings to societies and democracies. I would like to thank Olgica and Natalie and her team who have made it possible to organize this conference, to Justina Kursabinski from EBU News, who has been very supportive as well. And definitely we are happy to collaborate with IPI, with you, Barbara, and Milica, to be able to stage this event. I wish you all a very inspiring conference and a nice day in Geneva. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And on behalf of IPI, again, we're so happy to be able to partner with the EBU on this important event. So thank you to everyone at the EBU for helping make this event possible these 2 days.